everyone, Connie here, and welcome to my blind reaction to RWBY, Volume 7, Chapter 5. And my hair is not cooperating right now, of course. So yeah, this season has kind of had this kind of slow start, but I think we're going to start getting into big things soon, considering last episode ended with our two evil mustaches. We had why is his name escaping me? Watts. We had Watts visit Jacques, and apparently they're going to be hatching some kind of plan. So, yeah, not a great thing. But teams Ruby and Junior are officially classified as, well, fully documented pro huntsmen and huntresses. From what I've seen, they posted the actual huntsman licenses on the official RWBY and RWBY Twitter. And I believe it says they're Class C. So I guess for huntsmen and huntresses, their classes are determined by their quality of work, like how well they do in the field, their record and stuff. Since these our team are new, they're going to be a lower rank still. So it makes sense that they'd be Class C. Yeah, and that's the big stuff we had last episode. We also did have Weiss finally confronting her father. They finally got to meet again. And Jacques is definitely very upset about this. Someone pointed out that there's a picture in his office, which we saw at the end of the last episode, The Office, that in previous volumes it showed Weiss. But in last episode, the picture was actually, the entire frame was turned around. Someone pointed this out on Twitter. And that's really fascinating. That's a really nice visual touch to the background. And it's definitely something Jacques would do. So they were starting to get ready to go off on their first official missions. Jean is going to be helping... what's his name? Marrow, basically watching over some preschoolers, basically. Pre-primary school students, that's what it was. And Sean isn't super thrilled about it, but for my viewpoint of it, it's still an important job. I mean, it may not be the most important, may not be the most necessary, but you got to protect the kids, and if it helps the parents feel a little more safe, helps them feel safe for their kids and everything, helps them feel that their kids are safe, that's what I'm trying to say, then it's all worth it. It's still a good, important mission. It's just not as exciting as some of the other stuff, like what Elm was talking about, the saber, basically going out to hunt the saber and everything. Which we didn't actually find out who's going to do that or anything. If it's going to be with Elm, I presume maybe Nora. But it's hard to say. It's hard to say. I don't know anything else about this episode. I'm reacting to this. I'm recording this on Monday. So it's only been a couple days since it came out. And I'm doing that because I want to avoid seeing anything. I don't know what's to come in this episode. And I want to keep it that way. So yeah. One last thing before we begin, though. For future reactions and stuff, are you guys good with this new webcam? Because I don't have any issue continuing to use it, but it's I want to hear your thoughts. Are you guys good with this new webcam, with it being more boxed in around my face? Or do you guys prefer the older webcam still, where it's more pulled back and everything? Plus just the general quality of both and all of that. Let me know your thoughts on all of that. I know I haven't been using this a lot lately because I was using my old webcam when I had the foot injury and I did a few things in my room, a few videos in there, so I was using the old one there. But yeah, just go back through some of the more recent videos, I guess, from 2 weeks ago or whatever, to compare and contrast with other videos that have the other webcam. Tell me which one you prefer, which one looks like better quality to you and you think just overall will work best for the channel and for future videos. Personally, like I said, I'm good with using this new one. I do think I like the older one better in terms of the framing. I think it looks better, like pulled back away from the face a little more because I don't know. It's just because with this, I can't pull it back. I can't pull. It has to be in this ratio, basically. I have no idea why. I figured out how to get the lights to work, but they barely do anything. They're literally just little lights. Like it doesn't help with night vision like it claimed. Um, it's really not that big a deal. But yeah, it's like I can't like zoom out at all. So it's like it has to be in this ratio, and I'm not a huge fan of that, but at the same time, the general visual quality, I think personally looks like slightly better. Tell me what you think down in the comments below. I'll wait to hear your thoughts. Um, I'll probably make another video that will be up actually on Monday when I'm recording this to talk about it. So I don't know. We'll see. In the meantime, though, we're just going to get on with this. So when the screen fades to black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Follow the link to the reaction, and after you watch it, come back here to the redirect and resume play. Because after it fades to black and then fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts, and will contain spoilers to the episode. So that being said, thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you at the reaction. Okay, and we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. Okay, so yeah, we had a lot going on in this episode, but there's obviously a few big things to talk about, and I'm gonna just get this out of the way right off the bat. Team Funky. Like, I don't have the biggest reactions to things. I'm not like a reactor like Rarity Dash or well, in terms of RWBY reactions, especially Murder of Birds. I'm not gonna like scream super loud most of the time. I'm not gonna like get up and like jump up and down or anything. I mean, obviously, sitting here on the couch, it's not a super viable option. But it's like I'm not like super energetic like that. But there are certain points where it's like, yeah, I will. You'll see and you'll be able to tell how excited about something I am, and that was one of those moments for sure. There are certain side characters that we've seen in the past, especially just in general, volumes 1 through 3, while they were at Beacon, who I've wanted to see return. I mean, obviously, Team Coffee is a big one, mostly Coco and Velvet. But one of the other big ones I wanted to see return was Neon Cat. And of course, Flint Cole would be welcome too, but Neon Cat was just an instantly fun character to me. Not just because she's obviously based off of the meme Nyan. Is it Nyan? Nyan? Nean? However it's pronounced, cat. With, you know, the cat flying through space, farting out a rainbow and shit. um, Obviously named and based off of that, but I like her personality. I adore her design. Her song is one of my favorites from all of this series' soundtracks. Like, seriously, her song is one of my all-time favorites from this entire series. Like, I'm saying top 3. um, and I've just always loved and enjoyed her character for that little bit we saw of her in Volume 3. And I wanted to see her return because I felt like they could do more with her and with Flint. And it makes sense they would bring them back here because, especially with Flint, who had connection to Weiss. Remember, Flint Cole's father owned a small dust shop, but it was run out of business by the Schnee Dust Company. And he was aggressive at first towards Weiss because of it. But after she basically sacrificed herself during the match, she won his respect. And I felt like there's so much they could do more with that. And when with this season heading to Alice and everything, like yeah, of course, I thought like, oh, maybe they could bring that back around somehow. And even just having a small role in this episode with just a little bit of a part of the training montage and everything, it just was really welcome and just amazing, and I loved it. Even if their interactions were with different people and all. I loved how Flint's design didn't really change much. It's just kind of his style. But Neon had like a very updated design that I liked, and we got to see the other members of Team Funky as well this time. Neon's personality still the same, still great. I love just the instant you hear that "never miss a beat." It's like my brain just lit up. It was like that instant that I heard that I realized that was being said. It was just like instant euphoria. Oh, it was just so good. Um, God. But so this episode is really kind of split into two major things, and that is the Huntsman missions slash training and Weiss and Winter. I'll get to Weiss and Winter last, or second, I guess. The Huntsman training stuff and them going out on their missions. We saw a lot of it through montage form and everything. And it was all just this fun little stuff. We saw them working together in a few different pairings. Blake and Yang working together exceptionally, but we also saw like Yang and RWBY working together as another example. And Ren and Nora, of course. And it all kind of was building up. We even saw Oscar training with Ironwood, which was fun. Because in the opening, we do see the two of them fighting, and at least, some other reactors I think have mentioned it, but I've especially mentioned, like, what exactly does that mean? Are they going to literally fight, or is it going to be more of a coming to odds with their ideologies and stuff? And I said during the reaction, and I stand by this, I don't think that little glimpse of them training together is what that part of the opening was hinting at all. I'm still kind of getting the feeling it's going to be about the ideologies, especially with the fact that that our team are hiding by Ruby's choice, hiding information from Ironwood. So maybe once things start to come out, there will be a kind of coming to odds with him. That's what I'm kind of thinking still. But that entire part of the episode, the entire Huntsman stuff, them going out on their first missions and all comes to a head with a specific mission that is focused on. So we have Clover, Crow, RWBY, and Penny going on a mission together. They're heading off. Most of the mission seems to just be like heading out in a truck to deliver supplies to the Coliseum. Ruby's a little tired and everything because she feels like, well, I mean, outside of just all these missions tiring her out, she feels like this one's kind of boring. She does start talking to Penny though, and I like the kind of discussion they get into. With like RWBY asking Penny like, "Do you have any other friends?" And it's like, are you good? I feel like it's a very natural, like just trying to reconnect with her. Meanwhile, in the back, Clover and Crow are just playing cards over and over, and Crow keeps losing because Crow's bad luck and Clover's good luck. Yeah, Crow, you're never gonna beat him. Um, but it does bring up the fact that Crow doesn't drink anymore, which again, as I mentioned in the reaction, is something that was never directly confirmed before this. At least not in the show. It might have been confirmed by the crew at some point. But it's like last season, especially during the entire thing with the apathy during that little arc, Crow was kind of at his worst with his drinking. And it got to a point where it's like the rest of the team had to save him, had to literally pull him away as the apathy were coming and everything. And it's like that was kind of the catalyst for him changing and for a lot of his big growth. Basically coming to terms with his inner demons while seeing literal demons coming at him. Um, so it's like, yeah, it kind of it's like one of those scared straight kind of things. Like you know that TV show Scared Straight, where it's like these police officers and all will take these like troubled youths and put them in like real prisons with real criminals, and the attempt is to scare these kids into going straight, into being, you know, more upstanding citizens. Not necessarily like the most prim and proper, but better people. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But that's kind of what I felt like it was like for Crow. It's like it just shocked him so much because he was really down because of the apathy, as we found out, and he was drinking a lot. He was burying everything in the drinks, especially considering this was after the entire thing with Ozpin, which made things worse for Crow. But after that, it's like, yeah, it's like we saw how Crow began to get better, just personality and his personality and his beliefs and everything, and believing in Ruby especially. Um, but we never had direct confirmation, even going into this season. Um, did he still drink, or exactly how far did he go with that? And so we find out in this one, it's like I'd toast a drink to that, but I don't do that anymore. It's like, oh, it's just a really nice touch, you know? It's really cool to find that out for sure, that he doesn't drink anymore. He's given it up. And here's the thing. I mean, I drink. I have a bottle of vodka in the freezer right now. I definitely drink, and I can drink a lot. But I also know my limits and everything, and that's the big difference. Crow was not just a drinker; he was a drunk. It's why there are some people in the fandom who jokingly call him Drunkle Crow, because he abused alcohol. And for a lot of people, when they're that deep in, they need to get out completely. It's not just, oh, weighing it down to only having alcohol a little bit, or only during ceremonious occasions like holidays. No, a lot of people, in order to get to a healthy level in their lives, have to quit completely. They have to go sober. It's important. And Crow is definitely one of those people. Crow is definitely one of those people who was too deep in. And it's not something he could just cut back on. He needed to step away altogether. And so it's a nice touch showing that in this show. Like, yeah, this show has dealt with some heavy topics and big, realistic and relatable things before, but it's great to see something like that just really, for lack of a better word or better term, hammered in. Something like that that's really like put front and center for all of us to see. I think it's a big deal, and it's handled, I feel, respectfully and well, as realistically as you can get, considering the big turning point for him was monsters that were literally giving him apathy, and everyone else. But still, uh, Yeah, I think that was really well done. But either way, getting back on topic with the rest of this part of the episode. So the truck is stopped by Robin Hill and her happy huntresses. We get to actually see them. Now, granted, we saw a couple of them last episode, but as I mentioned, I didn't realize that was them. Others did, like Murder of Birds, I believe, was the one who pointed out that they had the symbol, the emblem on them, which again, that's something I would not have noticed. And I don't think any of the other reactors I watched did either. At least any of the ones for that episode. But it's like, so we get to see them and we get to hear Robin. She's voiced excellently by Christina V. If you don't know who Christina V is, she's done multiple anime roles, but she's especially known for voicing Marinette Dupain Chang from Miraculous Ladybug. Um, so yeah, she's very well known in that community, and she was at Youmacon the other year along with her boyfriend. I hope they're still together at least. Nate Wants to Battle, who is a YouTuber, singer, voice actor himself, and all. And I got to meet both of them at the same time. I got a picture. I'll probably share that to social media and stuff. But yeah, it's like they were really nice, really great. It's awesome to have Christina V in this, and to have her voice a character who's going to be at least big this season, with her running for council against Shock. Um, and I'll get to that in a bit. But they stop them, and we find out that apparently Clover and her and Robin have some kind of connection. I don't know if it's going to go all out to where they were like past lovers or anything, because it's a really cliche and stereotypical thing to do for a lot of shows. Um, or if it's going to go like maybe a lesser route, like maybe they were childhood best friends and kind of, veered off in different directions. He went more of the government militaristic route, while she's more of the lower level freedom fighter route. Well, obviously we know that's where they are now, but you know what I mean. Like he had his aspirations set higher than her, and she just wanted to be for the people and work with the people and be there and everything. I don't know. Or it could be something completely different, but it's made very clear that they know each other, not just by name, not just they know each other personally. So I'm interested to find out the exact ways. um, so they get into a little debate and everything, and we find out from Penny that there are two members of the Happy Huntresses coming up from behind the truck. And we find that they're disguised with what I presume is an invisibility semblance from either one of them, or maybe Robin herself, or even the Lamb girl, who, by the way, is fucking adorable. Like, a lamb faunus is just the cutest fucking idea for a faunus ever. Like, seriously. Um, because like I have this like random OC I made who's a buff shark girl faunus, and everything, and I've seen a lot of different faunus designs from the fandom, but it's like a cute little lamb faunus is just the most adorable fucking thing ever. And it's like I'm sad I never thought of that idea. um, but in all seriousness, so Penny calls them out, Robin calls them off, and lets everyone pass, though seems to barely agree to do so. Um, and so that kind of ends off that for now. Robin's big question, though, is why are these supplies not going to Mantle? Why are they going to the middle of nowhere, to Amity Coliseum, when the Coliseum's not even going to be used anytime soon, to her knowledge? So, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see where the Freedom Fighter storyline goes. And I'm glad that we finally, 5 episodes into this volume, get to meet Robin instead of just hear about her. But then we get to the second aspect. So this kind of branches off from the first. While they're doing their training, Weiss specifically does some huntsman training with her sister, uh, especially honing her summoning. We see her summon the Goliath, I think it's called, the giant knight, and have a summoning fight against Winter, who's using her Beowulf. And she acknowledges that Weiss has been coming far with her way of doing things, although is trying to act a little tsundere about it. um, and they get talking, and Winter's like, let me show you something. So she takes Weiss to a viewing room and lets Weiss watch her interact with the Winter Maiden, Freya. And we found out before that the Winter Maiden is like it was said that she was older. Crow mentioned she's not a spring chicken, and it was mentioned she was in stable condition, which kind of implied that she was either really sick or just ill or not well off, generally speaking. Um, and so we find out that Freya is, yeah, she's dying, and while she may be in stable condition currently, she's on her way out. And so Ironwood has set it to be so that Freya sees no one else but Winter, because they're trying to make Winter the new Winter Maiden. Name obviously being probably a little bit of a factor there. um, but Weiss kind of questions like, why though? Weiss is like questioning like, why would you want that? Why would you be okay with Ironwood setting your goals, your mission, your destiny for you? And Winter's like, I questioned that at first too. But I came to make it my own. I came to want to do this for myself. And it's an interesting conversation that really, well, humanizes Winter in a way that we haven't seen as much before. Yeah, we've definitely seen Winter humanized, and we've definitely seen her more soft side, even back in Volume 3. But it's like, this was a really great moment for her, especially opening up to this to Weiss. She's showing that, she's saying that, yeah, I wasn't sure about this, but I've come to realize that this is something that I personally want. Something that is important to me. And I feel honored. And I've made it my own. It has nothing to do with Ironwood or Jacques or anyone. She wants to do this for herself. And I think that's great. I think that's a good attitude to have about it. And Weiss accepts this. And they acknowledge that they've both done a lot of growing. And it's just a really, really nice moment. But I don't think Winter's going to be the Winter Maiden. I don't know who else Freya's last thoughts would be on, because that's kind of how it works with the maiden powers. They transfer to the last person that the previous maiden was thinking of when they die. So when Freya does die, will her last thoughts be on Winter just because Winter is the only person she's being allowed to see? Or will something else happen entirely? Because people have been pointing out that Cinder and Neo are still coming. Cinder is already a maiden, but could she possibly take the Winter Maiden's powers too? Or what if Neo becomes the Winter Maiden? There's a lot of opportunity for that, or even something else to happen. Or what if it's Weiss? Now that Weiss knows about it, what if somehow the power transfers to her, either mysteriously or maybe somehow she does come in contact with Freya and that's who Freya thinks about last? Or what if it does transfer to Winter, but then something bad happens to Winter? God forbid, but just it is a thought going through my head, and I'm airing that for you. What if it does transfer to Winter, but then something bad happens to Winter, and she thinks of Weiss before she dies, and then Weiss gets it? It's a possibility. It is. Because the concept of one of our main team becoming a maiden is definitely a concept that has been thrown around a lot by the fans. Um, People were wondering, like, what if Ruby became the Summer Maiden? Obviously, with her mother being named Summer. People have been also giving the idea, what if Summer was the Summer Maiden, or when she was alive? And some people are even saying, what if Summer's actually not dead? Because I guess nobody knows for sure, is how they're putting it. But yeah, the concept of one of the main team, Team Ruby, becoming a maiden, I don't think I would want more than one of them to be so. And Ruby already has the silver eyes. I don't think making her a maiden is necessary. I feel it like could be a little bit of overkill. Because I mean, think about it. Like there's all these other shows and anime and stuff that give all of these different powers to the main character. Think of stuff like Naruto or especially Bleach. Like, think about Bleach, because you have Ichigo, who is a Soul Reaper, but then he also ends up being able to use the Hollow Mask as a visor. But then he also has Quincy powers, and it's like, oh my god, just stop giving him every power set you've shown in this damn anime. I don't want it to be like that with Ruby. I think Ruby should just I think they should stick with the silver eyes and just her general high quality combat training. I think that's good enough for her. So if it does have to be someone else in the team, I think Weiss makes the most sense. I don't think Yang or I don't think either of the maiden powers or just the idea of being a maiden would work for Blake or Yang. I just don't see either of them. I just don't see it being for either of them. Like logically in terms of the story and narrative. But Weiss, like Weiss, let's be honest here, hasn't won a lot of her battles in this series. Weiss has also had a massive ongoing storyline regarding her evolution as a person, her constantly changing beliefs and, well, constantly growing, rather, beliefs and just kind of falling away from her father's influence. So, what if that kind of comes to a head with her becoming the Winter Maiden? And finally, like, it being the culmination of finding herself and her true destiny. Especially with the entire fact that Destiny was brought up with, she brought Destiny up in regard to Winter being groomed to become the next Maiden. I just think it would be a really neat idea, and not just because I'm a huge Weiss fangirl. Um, I mean, I love Weiss, but it's not really just because I love Weiss that I think this would fit. I just think narratively it makes sense for her story arc. It would be a great culmination for everything to work up to. Um, but I'm not saying that I necessarily think it should happen within the full narrative of the show. I'm just saying if it's gonna be anyone from Team RWBY, let it be Weiss. Um, if it's going to be. Um, but yeah, I don't know where that storyline is exactly going to go just yet. There's a lot of possibilities. There's a lot of options, and we're just gonna have to see. And the last thing to talk about here, of course, is Jacques. So at the very end of the episode, Jacques he has a political rally in front of the Schnee Mansion, which is something someone running for office would do, sure. Um, and he talks about how he's opposed to Ironwood and starts using that to kind of rally, I guess, the people of Mantle, who we know Jacques does not give two shits about. We know Jacques doesn't give a shit. I mean, he pretty much proved that last episode when he said to Watts It's like I would just let everyone go at this point if I didn't need their votes. Um, and presumably this entire speech and everything he did in this episode is related to his talk with Watts, by the way. But he's basically like, oh, Ironwood is fucking everything up. I'm against Ironwood. You can't expect Robin to be against Ironwood. That's basically what his argument came down to. It's like, you guys hate Ironwood? So do I. You can't expect Robin to do anything about it. So let me hate Ironwood as much as you. And let's fix things. Let's fix Ironwood's mistakes. That was pretty much his entire speech. It's pretty much the we hate Ironwood party. um, but it seemed to get a lot of the people of Mantle like moving into action. Because at the end we also saw there's some riots going on, at least starting to go on in Mantle, and that's not good. That's not good at all. Especially with Penny currently occupied and not able to, stop things. One of the guys we had seen back when Team RWBY first arrived in episode 1, too. The guy with the cap, the beanie. He was one of the guys who we saw in that episode. They're the two guys who were sitting on the steps who were clearly drunk and everything. And Weiss used her glyphs to throw one of them in the trash, and the other guy was like, wait, you're... And he was like trying to stop them before they ran off. Yeah, it was definitely that guy. And he ends up now throwing this trash can at the I guess, screen that the message was being broadcast on, which is definitely in reference to what it shows in the opening. I believe it's just a trash can in the opening that is thrown at the screen, which shows Ironwood's face as it briefly flashes to Jacques. So that's definitely a direct correlation to the opening, which is great, by the way. I like that. But yeah, overall, this episode was really, really good. Like, this volume has been top-notch so far. I loved the montage with the training and the Huntsman missions and all of that. I loved just the great character stuff we got with Winter and Weiss. I enjoyed the confrontation with Robin and getting to see her for the first time in the season. So it's like, yeah, wonderful, wonderful episode. And of course, I loved seeing Team Funky return. Oh, that was so good. Even if it was just a brief little cameo, it just so good. But tell me in the comments below what you thought of this episode of RWBY Volume 7, and thank you so much for tuning in. For now, I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.
Hey everyone, Connie here, and thank you so much for tuning into today's video. If you want to check out any of my social media links and more, please check them out over to the side. And if you have any comments, questions, concerns, please leave those down below. In the meantime, though, thank you so much once again for tuning in. For now, I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.